Hello. So it's another video of reviewing for your EOG. At this point in 2021, we're one day away from the EOG. For some students, I'm recording this during the second year of COVID, and it's virtual students are taking it tomorrow. In-person kids are taking it the next day. So I'm making this hoping my students watch it and get something from it. So question number one, which is the best example of a pure substance? All right, air is a mixture, gold is AU, milk is a mixture because it has proteins and fats and sugars, right? Peanuts, all right, now you may think a peanut is just a peanut, but in that peanut there's a certain amount of water, there's protein, there's a certain amount of sugar, there's a certain amount of fat. So even though it's not liquid, it's still a mixture. Okay, so I'll leave that one to you to figure out from there. Which statement best explains how periods on the periodic table are organized? Well, remember, when you look at the periodic table, okay, each block has a number, right? And those numbers are the atomic number. Now there's other numbers that are not whole numbers. The atomic numbers are always a whole number. Whole number. And they are literally the number of protons. Okay, so when you look at a period, remember periods are rows. Okay, you go 3 protons, 4 protons, 5 protons, 6 protons, 7 protons. So you tell me. First of all, it can't be anything with electrons, neutrons. The mass number goes up. All right, so that really only leaves increasing atomic number. Some of these questions are going to look tricky, but you just got to eliminate the stuff that doesn't make sense. An ice cube is put on a heated pan. What will most likely happen to the molecules of the ice as it is heated? So when you heat things up, do the molecules move faster or slower? All right. So when you go from a solid to a liquid to a gas, you're gaining energy, right? And if you gain energy, you're going to move faster. If you go from a gas to a liquid, you lose energy. All right? So you tell me. All right, number 4. Which best explains why the total mass of products would be less than the total weight of the reactants after a chemical equation? We had a question like this on a previous test, and you'll have one on the EOG most likely. All right. So if I have a closed container, completely sealed, and I mix A plus B in that sealed container, and it weighs 5 grams, then that sealed container of AB should have a mass of 5 grams. On the other hand, if I have an open container, okay, and I have a chemical reaction that forms a gas, that gas can escape. All right, so you tell me, what do you think happened? Law of conservation of mass states that the mass has to be the same. Okay? So what's a possible reason that you might have less mass after the chemical reaction than before? Number 5, which would least likely have an impact on global climate change? All right, so all of these things could affect climate change. And the question does not state whether they're looking for a good impact or a bad impact. But let's note that all of these are fossil fuels. Okay. This is renewable. We have all three of these, the fossil fuels, all three of those will cause air pollution. Hydroelectric plants do not pollute the air. All right, so that should be the answer. And we can check. We go. I had to do that the hard way, didn't I? All right, number 5, the answer is A. So I am correct. That's one of those questions where I really don't love the way it's worded, but and it's like I've said before, if you've got 3 cats and 1 dog, pick the dog, all right? Because it's the oddball. If you've got 3 answers and they all say, one says red, one says scarlet, and one says maroon, and then one says green. If you have no clue, pick the oddball. Right? So same thing there. Which is an example of a renewable energy source? So remember, fossil fuels are non-renewable. Okay? So you're looking for the one that's not a fossil fuel. Which will most likely result in if there is an increased upwelling in the coastal area. So remember, upwelling brings nutrients and cold water to the surface. All right, so upwelling brings nutrients and cold water to the surface. So which one of those might be the answer? Okay. It brings nutrients, so it can't be less nutrients. It brings cold water, so it can't be higher temperatures. Nitrates are a nutrient, so it can't be fewer nitrates. So it has to be more aquatic life. Which best determines the health of a lake used as a source of fresh water? So it would be temperature and pH. High temperature water has less dissolved oxygen. And if the pH is too high, remember that's how acidic or how basic. So if it's too high or too low, which would be basic, that's bad. So you would look at the temperature and the pH. A scientist finds the bones of a dinosaur. What could help the scientist determine the approximate age of the dinosaur bones? Okay? It says approximate age. So we don't need to know how many millions of years old it is. We just need to know, is it older than this or younger than this? So we're going to look for an index fossil. So for example, all right, here's my fossils. This is the fossil I want to find out about how old it is. Now, I've got an index fossil here, and this index fossil is 50 million years old. MYO, millions years old. Okay? So I know that my index fossil is less than 50 million years old because it's on top, right? And the law of superposition says that if it's on top, it's younger. Which best describes how ice cores are important to the study of geologic history? Okay? So as soon as you see ice cores, I want you to think past climate. I want you to think trapped gases. All right? Morning. So they show unconformities, hold index fossils. So they show evidence of changing atmospheres. All right? So I'll see you in part 2.